Invincible, Season 2, Episode 3. This Missive, this Machination, and this gets really steamy. So we're going to talk about it. Welcome back, Geek Variant. So today we're talking about Invincible Season 2, Episode 3, and this one kind of gets right into where we left off with the last one of Mark kind of go ahead and making his way to college. You know, I like it. It's a little bit of time jumps here and there, but we kind of move the pace along. He's graduated. Hey, he's getting set up for summer, trying to go to college. So in the process of this, does what all the college boys does. He's kind of scoping out the thing, realizing he's too old for some stuff, and that him and William are both trying to kind of get their freak on, you know, so they have the whole sock on the door conversation. So, real lighthearted in the beginning, and again, Mark is trying to figure out who he is, and that's the main thing that Debbie told him before she left him. There is like, figure out who you are, what's going on, and just what's up with you. And him and Amber decided to make sweet, sweet love. It's for for the first time, and that's just kind of where it ends up. We have the episode that technically ends, and then we start with a new episode of Alan the Alien. That's right, Alan is back, and we actually get some more background on him and kind of where he came from. Because remember, last time we saw him, he came to the wrong planet trying to figure out what's going on. So it's nice to actually see him back here and them giving the backstory on him. So mainly what the backstory is, he became more or less a super soldier. Like the entire planet of Unopans was taken over by the Viltrumites, completely massacred. They kind of went out, made their little space colonies and stuff to try and survive. And basically they developed a super soldier program. And as they were kind of getting their numbers and stuff back up, they eventually kind of had a breakthrough. And during that breakthrough, they had joined the coalition of planets. So these are all the planets that are against the Viltrumite Empire. Like they're really trying to, stop the Viltrumites from doing what they're doing. So their super soldier program has, yields no results until eventually Alan is created. He's the only one that is able to actually stand up against everything that he's come across. And he is just like their savior. Like he is the one that has been, doing the best. And in the process of that, he actually comes across some Viltrumites and he gets straight mollywopped. Now he manages to survive, but because of that, he was kind of more or less demoted from the planet savior to more or less an errand boy. He goes and checks out other planets, makes sure they're good, checks out for other fighters. Someone who could probably rival the Viltrumites at some point in time, because this is such a big thing. Like they've got to stop them. So they're trying to figure out any exploit that they can to do it. And of course, he comes across Invincible, and this is kind of where the story picks up, where he's coming to report back to the council about his encounter with Invincible. In the process of that, we also meet General Telia, so that, who is his particular love interest. And, of course, it's not shown at work, but once they get in privacy of their own home after everything, it's them two. Now, he was told by freaking the council leader, which is Thaddeus or Thaddeus, I think is what they pronounce it as, Thaddeus, that he needs to find a mole somewhere in the planet because, again, one of the planets that just joined the coalition was immediately and brutally attacked by the Viltrumites without any provocation, apparently. Like, it just happened as soon as they joined. So somebody is telling information to the Viltrumites for them to attack these planets and stuff and kind of make a statement. So now Alan is tasked with figuring out who it is. Now, as he goes and he meets back up with Telly after he gets back home, and they start to have their romp. We had a fun little comedic scene where they're having their romp, so that, but they keep cutting back and forth. And Mark and Amber are still going at it. It's fantastic for them. They're having a good time. But eventually it gets back to Alan, and they're eating some weird food, and the Viltrumites suddenly attack out of nowhere as he's telling Telia about the mole. Like, there's a mole somewhere in here. Viltrumites attack him specifically, take him out, and proceed to beat the living crap out of him, as well as other stuff. I mean, his eyeballs hanging out, intestines out, ripped his arm off. Like, this dude is jacked up. And they're trying to get information. He's not telling nothing. Eventually, they leave him for dead. And they fly off. And that's it. So eventually he gets set up. And he's kind of in like a incubation type chamber where he's getting healed or whatever the case may be. And then we see Thaddeus show up, comfort Telia, and so like that. Tells her to go take a rest. and this dude shuts down the life support on Alan. So obviously he's the mole. He's got stuff going on, and now we've got more sinister things at play. So we got somebody in the Council of Planets who's causing some problems, and then we've got freaking old Brain Boy, who's got issues, and that's a whole thing. But he's not here right now. So eventually we get back to, and that's the end of Alan's episode. More or less roll credits on his episode. We get back to the Guardians of the Globe, and we got Rexplode and Duplicate still trying to figure stuff out. Which again, she's already cheating on him, but he was cheating on all this is brought up, and they can't kind of come to terms with anything. And Kate's more or less like, hey, somebody who's probably lived as long as I have, I got a connection with him, and that's kind of her thing. On the other side of that, Debbie, she actually ends up, trying to, she makes the call to kind of get set up with that group, whatever that Olga told her about. And Rudy actually, he's trying to figure out his fear, and actually ends up getting past one of his things that causes him to be fearful, which is actually asking out Monster Girl on a date, ask her to a movie, because he's still trying to understand fear and understand other things about the human body. So eventually, Debbie goes to the support group. She meets a guy named Theo, and she's just kind of figuring out, how to go about it. Very super secretive, first names only. Don't talk about your spouse. Just talk about your experiences or whatever to kind of get it off. Debbie is just, hesitant at first, but eventually she kind of starts to understand what's going on. Rudy and Monster Girl, they end up, going to the movies, trying some burgers. He's enjoying it. So he's kind of figuring out stuff. So their first date with some fast food seems to be going off, successfully. Eventually, as Debbie is talking to Theo, they end up going to a bar, kind of hanging out. And as we find out that Theo's wife was Alana, which was the green ghost. I remember, he took the gem out of her mouth with that, that thrust move and so with that Omni-Man. So basically she's getting emotional, and he already broke a rule by telling, which I think he's kind of up to something, because he kind of knows something. You've been in this group for a while. You're not supposed to talk about these things, but you're talking about it and giving out all the information on the first date, so to speak. Of course, Debbie can't hold it. She's a mess. She ends up, spilling the guts about everything about, she was married to Omni-Man and so like that, and he's the one who killed. And then Theo completely flips the script. He's like, yo, I'm done with you. Don't come back to group. It's not going to be safe for anybody there. Like, straight flips the script on her, and he's like, don't come back. That's it. Like, he got information that he wanted or didn't want, and just like shoved her to the curb. So she's sitting there lost. And then we get, Invincible, who's just trying to talk to William in the dorm room. They're trying to talk about their experiences or whatever, first couple things of college. And then Seance Dog shows up. We all know he always had that Seance Dog toy comic book. That's kind of his thing. But Seance Dog shows up, and it turns out to be Nulzot, which is like an alien bug looking thing. And he basically lures Invincible away under false pretenses to come to his planet because of some meteors, which that turned out to be false. And guess what? Now, after all this time, he flipped the script on him, and now we see Omni-Man. Freaking Omni-Man is the one in charge of this planet. He's the highest one apparently in charge of this planet, and he's the one who apparently sent for Invincible to come to this world. Now, I don't know how this is going to turn out, because even the alien Nulzot, he's shapeshifted into Seance Dog to try and gain his attention. So he's a shapeshifter. So could Omni-Man, could that be a fake Omni-Man? Could that just be a shapeshifter? Could that be some kind of ploy to kind of get him to figure stuff out? Was it done by Thetis? Is he setting up something to kind of lure Invincible out and then figure out what's going on with him, or take him out, or whatever the case may be? Like, I don't know what Thetis's actual plans are. So that's the thing that we're trying to figure out. Like, this is gonna, rack my brain, and I'm gonna keep coming back here till I get it sorted out. This episode is really good. So we got a lot of things that are set up now with a new enemy introduced. Omni-Man's back in the picture. I wasn't sure how long they're going to run the series without having him revisited again after the initial episode. But here we are, episode 3. He's here, and we're starting to address some of the concerns and loose ends that weren't tied up before. Again, we know about Green Ghost, and now her family. We got more information on Darkwing, from the last episode, and his ward, or that his assistant. That we got the Shapesmith, and where he came from. So things are getting closed up, things are getting figured out, and now we're kind of bringing this full circle and figuring out what's going on. So I kind of feel like we're going to get a couple of the Guardians of the Globe. We're probably going to get jacked up, and we're probably going to get reset. Maybe a new team is going to be formed. Maybe the Guardians of the Globe is going to get new members, a whole new team in general. Like, I don't know what it's about to be, but again, Invincible does it again, really kind of grabbing attention with this episode, and again bringing to light, not just highlighting the superheroes fighting everything. Like, they got problems, they got real world crap they're trying to deal with, and again, they just got me hooked. And again, if you're hooked on, seeing us and all that other good stuff that we got, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We love to see you. We love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what you think is going to happen in the next episode of Invincible. What kind of things you're going to think are going to transpire. I don't think Alan is dead. I think he checked on life support, but Alan is a beast as far as I know from this episode. So I expect him. He already survived one Viltrumite fight. I think he can survive another because he seems like he's full strength. What's going to happen with Invincible? Is that really Omni-Man, or is that somebody else? Is this all a ploy by Thetis? So with that, what does Telia know? Is she going to start trying to find the mole and figure stuff out? What's going to happen? I don't know. But make sure you stick with us and catch us in the next one and see if we figured it out or we got some more answers. I'll catch y'all later.